2025 body horror film Together, directed by Michael Shanks, starring Alison Brie and Dave Franco. I just got back from the theater. I went with some friends, and it was pretty much unanimous praise all around. This film depicts intimacy and complacency in long-term relationships, and also portrays a more bastardized version of coexistence with a partner. It illustrates all these points with disgusting body horror and just raw emotion. This film is carried by the two protagonists, which are married off-screen, which further solidifies their relationship on-screen.
The other advantages to being a real couple shooting this movie together, more than we even anticipated, not least of which the fact that, like, at this point, our nonverbal communication is at an all-time high. I feel like that saved us a ton of time on set because we're like analyzing notes between us and constantly.
And things just get intimate in this movie. We are being very vulnerable. We're putting ourselves out there.
And in layman's terms, the whole film just boils down to a big marriage metaphor, just two entities becoming one. And it definitely built the horror around that premise. I also wasn't expecting the film to be as terrifying as it was. There was multiple scenes where, I was holding my breath. It was a few jump scares that got me, a few tense moments that are just littered throughout that I just wasn't expecting to be as crazy as it was. It reveals its cards early, showing us a The Thing inspired intro that tells the viewer to buckle up. It's going to be an insane ride. Every instance of body horror in this film has the ability to get under your skin. My friends and I were discussing it afterwards, and it seems like each one of us has a different scene that kind of stuck with us. And I think that just goes to prove the effectiveness of this medium of horror, just how visceral of a reaction it can cause.
People who don't typically seek out this genre are having a good time with it, and I think it's because, at the core of it is this relationship drama. It's also funny, and it's fun. Like, more than anything, it's a good time.
As far as the overall plot goes, the pacing was really good. It starts off insane and it just hits the entire film, just keeping you on your toes, making you hold your breath. The Hereditary-esque twist is sort of in the end. That was fun. It's also shot beautifully. They didn't shroud the CGI or practical effects in darkness like a lot of films do. The ending transformation was harsh yet strangely graceful, almost dance-like. It really solidifies the couple's bond in the most extreme way that I can think of. And I'm also a sucker for the Eldritch Lovecraftian cult angle. I just love anything that has to do with that, and it hit the nail on the head. I'm very happy they didn't over-explain the cult or what was going on with them or what the force was, and it just leaves us questioning, and I think that adds to the horror in the end, is the fear of the unknown. And even after the film ends, you're still questioning what this meant or what was the purpose behind this. I think it really just lets this film kind of sit and fester with you a little more. It adds to the horror for sure. I really enjoyed this film a lot. I was really excited for it, and it met my expectations. I'm going to start dabbling in decimals a little more. I think I give this one a 9.3 out of 10. I started the month of August out with the Fantastic Four: First Steps, the most recent entry in the MCU franchise. And it seems like they're kind of bringing it back a little bit as far as quality goes, but the way it's looking right now, it might be too late seeing the box office drop off at the second week. Because it does feel like if this didn't work, if the Fantastic Four movie didn't work, then it might be kind of difficult to bring everybody back. I think everybody's just tired and just kind of burnt out on the whole MCU thing. But hopefully I'm wrong. It'll be really hyped to be able to get super, super excited for a new Marvel movie. And that's just something I haven't really felt since Endgame. And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy the Fantastic Four film. Quite the opposite, actually. I thought it was very, very good, and it's a step in the right direction going forward. I do think the actors did a very good job at bringing the characters to life, especially our four main protagonists. I know the standout for me was definitely Joseph Quinn. I've seen a few of his things, like Stranger Things and Quiet Place Day One, and I wasn't super impressed with him. And I think he really proved himself to me anyway as an actor. I think he killed it as Johnny Storm. I also enjoyed Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm. Very reserved and quiet, but yet super powerful. And not just in powers, but just with her presence overall. I was a big fan of the Thing's design until about halfway through the film when he grew the beard. I think it just kind of threw off everything. I don't think it really looked good. Julia Garner and Ralph Ineson also were super crazy as the villains, especially Galactus. I mean, he's just so menacing and intimidating. He really felt like a force in this film. All of the suit designs I liked a lot. I know it was very polarizing if the people liked the sweater look. And I think it fits the vibe that they were going for, the like 60s kind of cashmere, and I like that a lot. Importantly, the thing I was really worried about, and I think that really breaks small team films like this, is did they feel like a family? And I think that they nailed it in this one. It really felt like these four protagonists really cared about each other, and it felt super genuine. It just really seemed like they had that chemistry and symmetry together, and they played off of each other very well, especially Johnny and Ben. And then on the opposite side, you can also feel the love between Reed and Sue. The production design also went crazy. I loved the city. It felt so like lived in and alive. And it's just something about the color. I don't know if it was just a lack of blue, but it made the blue on their suits, and when they're like driving around in the car and stuff, it just made it pop that much more. It was so colorful, and it felt, like I said, so alive. And I didn't really mind the Silver Surfer change. I know that was a big point of controversy when the trailer first came out, but it gave us her backstory and explained why and how she became the Silver Surfer, and so it felt warranted. One of my gripes, though, with the film is some of the CGI was very spotty, especially on the Thing sometimes, and the baby has to be CGI. They're talking like it's a real baby. They're saying that it was performing very well and everything in the behind the scenes, but there's no way that the baby is real. People had that little detector in them, even though if they don't know it, they can just kind of tell when something's not right about like a person's face, and I think it's worse for babies. Because especially in those last few scenes in the climax, you can really tell that that is a CGI baby. That was my main gripe with the film. It just kind of throws you off when you're watching it. They kept the quips down, surprisingly so. And I did like Reed's plan to just like Patrick style, let's just move the city somewhere else. I was kind of laughing about that. Overall, it was really good for a Marvel movie to come out nowadays, but it just doesn't capture that same feeling that the old ones did. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. The next film I had the privilege of watching this month was the 2025 film War of the Worlds, directed by Rich Lee, starring Ice Cube. The movie falls under the guise of a screen life film, or a computer screen film, which is basically where the events of a film is shown to us through a digital screen. So think films like Host, Unfriended, and Dashcam. In this instance, the reason that it's shot like this is because it was shot during COVID, specifically the year 2020 during the summer, and so I'm sure they had super strict guidelines, and I mean, they pay for it. Cube picks up his disgruntled dad role. It feels like something straight out of Are We Done Yet and Are We There Yet?
I'm not your daddy, man.
And to be on his side a little bit here, I'm sure that they gave him nothing to work with. I know they gave him nothing to work with because I've listened to the dialogue. Most of his lines are just hell no and oh no and wow and damn. It's just something to fill that silence throughout the film. Because we see what he's seeing, and it's just him reacting to explosions and people dying, and he just never has anything else to say except for those things. And this goes for all the actors in this film. I'm sure it's very hard to act when you're not acting against someone, where it's just sort of you in front of a Zoom call. And you kind of just see that throughout, that everyone is kind of struggling with that. And besides the acting and the dialogue, another big problem was the CGI in this film. All the tripods looked horrible. There was stock explosions everywhere. There was some stock lightning. There was an earlier part in the film where they were showing a bunch of storms, and it was just looked horrible. The information and revelations come so fast at you in this film that it's just so jarring. You're seeing Ice Cube like randomly click things, and it's just all over the place. Hard to keep up with. There's a twist in about the third act of the film that you can see coming a mile away if you really think about it. And the whole thing's just a little bit irritating when you think back on the last Tom Cruise War of the Worlds. It was pretty good, pretty decent, and this one just totally rewrites the whole thing. It's all about data. They're trying to modernize it, and the whole film just seems like what a 65-year-old producer thinks hacking and computers and data is. And so there's some really funny quotes from this that I'll put in right here. But I hope this doesn't turn studios against doing the Screen Life style films. I would like to see them kind of evolve as a media. I do think it has potential. It's just not there yet. I know found footage style films weren't completely welcomed with open arms back then, but then we wouldn't have gotten bangers like the Blair Witch Project, the VHS franchise, and my personal favorite, Cloverfield. It's definitely the newest form of the media, and I think people just have to work out the kinks and just keep putting stuff out until something sticks, until a good idea comes around. And I think a film will do very well in this style. But it's definitely not this one. It is very fun to laugh at, but I mean, I can't give it anything over like a 1 out of 10. Next thing I caught this month was the 2025 film Death of a Unicorn, directed by Alex Sharfman in what appears to be his directorial debut. Even an impressively stacked cast can't save this one from mediocrity. All the performances are fine, and it's a unique story and all. It's just painfully forgettable. The most memorable thing about this film is in the title. It's just the novelty of putting the unicorn on screen. Because besides the actual unicorn itself, there's nothing that really stands out about this film at all. None of the kills are very interesting. They all kind of just die in the same way, impaled by a horn. And like I said earlier, none of the performances are very memorable either. I'll always find Will Poulter charming and very funny in a lot of his roles, so he kind of saves it a little bit on the comedy end. And this has the same corporate big pharma, the rich get richer message that I feel like is in everything nowadays, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I feel like it's very overdone. Just trying to rack my brain about anything that stands out in the film. The CGI was fine. Nothing really stood out as far as being bad or anything. They did show them in the daytime, all the unicorns in the daytime, and they looked fine. They moved fine. I really just can't stress enough how boring the kills were. That's one thing that I thought would they'd stand out, but everybody just gets gored by a horn or stabbed to the chest by a horn, and it's just so forgettable. I think that's all I really have to say about this one. I'm tired of seeing Jenna Ortega in the same disgruntled teen role, I think. But other than that, I mean, there's nothing really else to say about it. I give it a 3 out of 10. Next up is the 2025 horror film Weapons, directed by Zach Cregger, starring Julia Gardner and Josh Brolin. This one had me very nervous going into the theater, just not knowing what to expect, especially coming off of Barbarian as his last film. It just really gave me the long legs feel of just the marketing was so good for this. It just already had me freaked out before I even went in the theater. And it definitely delivered on most fronts, especially with the uncanny nature of most of the scares and just the mystery surrounding it. All the performances were very good. Julia Gardner is so believable, just how much she'd be freaking out if she was in that situation. Same with Josh Brolin. You just really feel for him and his loss.
What do you think it is about who he is that makes him want to get up and find his son, whereas other parents in that town are not doing that?
I think initially his ego, because he's got that hero complex and he wants to be perceived as, the Superman, super masculine man, all that kind of stuff. But if you look at the way he treats his son in the beginning, it's pretty contracted and it's pretty unemotional and all that. And I think what he gets to is he starts to get broken. And I love characters like that come across as, these kind of staunch ideas of what a man should be, and they get slapped in the face and, you know, ultimately end up just human.
But who really stole the show was Benedict Wong. His gas station scene being the most effective in the whole film for me. It's just the juxtaposition of having such a cool, calm, collected guy sort of at the epicenter of all of this. He's trying to do damage control for his staff, and it's just very interesting to see him completely lose it in the end and see both sides of that. And I really enjoyed what they did narratively, especially the pacing, having you kind of discover little breadcrumbs along the way with the actual answer being right in front of us the whole time. I mean, it's quite literally written out in front of us on the car that Julia Gardner is driving the whole film. And it's very fun, too, watching it, because you're kind of putting the puzzle pieces together also with the characters, and you're making up your own theories in your head as we learn more. And like I said earlier, it's a very non-linear narrative. Much like last month's Strange Darling, it really shows you different perspectives, allowing you to put it together yourself, which leads to some fun reveals.
Started writing Julia's character, you know, that character, and I kind of came to a natural end of her little story, and then I knew, like, I can't tell her story without telling Josh's character story, so I just moved on to him, and then I was like, this is what the movie wants to be. It wants to be these vignettes.
I think the narrator being a child actor kind of sells the eeriness too, because it's like she's letting you in on a secret of something, and she's being very matter-of-fact and literal. It's like she doesn't really have the whole picture, and she's just telling us what she knows. Speaking of kid actors, Carrie Christopher, the little kid that plays Alex, did an awesome job. I feel like it's really hard for kid actors to not come across as like annoying or just a problem, but he really I felt really bad for the kid. I enjoyed the witch reveal. Especially Benedict Wong's whole scene, just kind of telling us how she does it. And I also enjoy that we don't really know why she does it. It's she just collects kids, and we don't get to know why. And that just makes the horror of it that much greater, in my opinion. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. Had a great time. A lot of the scares really worked for me. There's some early jump scares that didn't really need to be in there, but man, it's all right. Overall, I think I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. Next up on our list, I have the 2025 film Final Destination Bloodlines. It's a true return to form after 14 years of no Final Destination films. It throws us right back into the mix, almost feeling as though we're being thrusted back into the early 2000s with its editing and performances, while also having a nice modern twist to keep the series fresh. But you know what most people watch Final Destination for are the kills, and this film delivers. There's so many fun kills in this film. Just from the very beginning, from the opening segment, so many bodies are being racked up, and that's just in the first 15-20 minutes. A lot of this film is you just waiting for something awful to happen, especially, like I said, the first 15 to 20 minutes, you're just waiting for something to go horribly wrong, and that kind of lingers throughout. Especially later in the film, when you're kind of learning how death is playing the game, it's just so many good setups for something horrible to happen, and you're constantly on the edge of your seat waiting for just it to pop off. And that's another thing that I kind of love about the Final Destination franchise. It's that death is its own character, even though it's not, played by an actor. It's more of like a force, but it still has a characterization to it. And all the characters also refer to death as him, like he's his own character. And just like in the other films, he's very petty, does not let anyone get anything over on him. It was a very fun twist as far as how the hit list worked this time, and how it was going through families and then going in order and out of order in separate families, and like seeing who was related through the family tree and who's next and all that kind of stuff. All that was like very good. It really helped the suspense of who really is next to die and who to protect. The MRI scene is probably going to be my most memorable kill of anything I saw this year. It was just so brutal. Everybody's just made of meat in this. There's no bones. Everyone's just jelly in this film. And this movie also does what the other ones do and just makes you terrified of a hyper-specific thing. Like, what was it? The second one had the log truck, and I can't remember which one had the tanning beds. But this one has the MRI machine kill, and yeah, it just makes me terrified of that now. But yeah, I mean, you don't go to this one for story or anything like that. Not saying the story was bad, but most people just want to see the kills, and that's fine. I think it knows that, and it delivered tenfold. All the relationships were awesome. I think for what it was, all the acting was very good. But yeah, I mean, gory, funny, suspenseful, and most of all, just a good time. I give it 7 out of 10. Up next is the 2025 film Until Dawn, directed by David F. Sandberg. His filmography includes the 2 Shazam films, Annabelle Creation, and the 2016 horror movie Lights Out, which I remember the short film version of the same name getting me pretty good back when I watched it. I will admit that I did come to this film already not liking it. Very unfair, I know. But I have to say that I really enjoyed this a lot. I think I just saw the trailers and just knew that it wasn't faithful to the adaptation. And I saw the reviews negatively talking about it, and I just was in a negative mindset going into it, which makes it, I feel like, even more impressive that it changed my mind. I really enjoyed a lot of things this film did. The gore was kind of unexpected and welcomed, of course, way more intense than I thought it would be. There were some fun homages to the original game. There was one scene where the main protagonist is kind of holding their breath, and it kind of puts you in the same perspective as you're doing it in the game. The like little mini game where you have to like tap X at the right time to not make a sound. So that was kind of cool to see. And of course, it does the same horror movie tropes that all of them do nowadays. It has some cheap jump scares in there. It's very heavy on the exposition in the beginning, which I guess how else are you going to get a story out, right? The soundtrack doesn't fit this film at all. There was a lot of techno music going on, intense scenes that just completely take you out of the immersion. They had the stupid character decisions that push forward any horror movie. You have to have that. People complain about that in their horror films, but I mean, you need conflict, and that's how you get conflict. I also didn't love the Wendigo design. It just felt like zombie looking and not as monstrous as the games. And the Wendigo reveal also was a little lackluster. It just just didn't do it justice, I think. And all those issues are small. I can look past them and just have fun with the movie. The only one that really bothered me was, why call it Until Dawn if it has nothing to do with the actual gaming franchise? I mean, they had a really unique and fun premise here, and it just, I don't know, I feel like it might have gotten review bombed because people were expecting it to be more like the game. And I'm almost thinking, like, if they were just named it something else, you could basically use the same plot, just don't say Until Dawn as much, and this would have done a lot better, would have performed a lot better, I think. But I mean, that aside, it was fun. It really reminded me of Cabin in the Woods. It has that fun horror feel, which is cool. So I think overall I'm going to give it I think I'm going to do a 6 out of 10. It was a good time. And rounding out the list for this month, we have the 2025 film Clown in a Cornfield, directed by Eli Craig. His other films include Tucker and Dale vs. Evil and Little Evil, both pretty solid horror comedies. But I really can't say the same for this one, which I didn't know was based on a series of novels released in the 2020s. But anyways, the film gave us some pretty cool retro title card and music, just to be later set in the modern day. Yet it still tries to hold on to those cliche character types, such as the popular mean girl, the jock, the loner. Whereas, yes, I said something about Until Dawn having the same archetypes and kind of enjoying it. This is just way more in your face, and they're just trying really hard to make it more comedic and stuff. So they're using all these hip lingo things that don't really make sense for them to be saying. And, they're YouTubers and all this stuff. It's just, they're just throwing all the teen stuff at a wall just to see what sticks. And while we're on the topic of tropes that I hate, this one suffers from a scene that just always bothers me, a type of scene that always bothers me. It's like when a threat is noticed by the group, usually early in the film. If the group reacts with terror and seriousness, then the scare is some sort of prank put on by their friends or misunderstanding. But if the group reacts not as extremely, such as laughing it off or thinking that a friend is messing with them, then the threat is real, and that's usually what starts off the characters actually knowing what's going on in the film. So while the scene's going on, you can already tell if the threat is real or not just by the way that the protagonists are reacting to it. And this film has the least subtle message ever. I mean, if you made a drinking game with how many times they say your kid's generation or that's because of your generation, you'd probably die. The film is just cheesy and not in a charming way. There's just a lack of substance through the characters and especially through the kills. All the kills have no setups, no fun setups, nothing, no fights, anything like that. They're just a neck slash or a choke or something like that. Just no fun. The ending of the film just felt so random and forced. It's accompanied by the least surprising twist reveal, I think, ever. Kevin Durand's character, the mayor, is the bad guy, Big Whoop, and he has a full-on Joker awakening. It's insane. It's insane. It's like his audition tape for the Batman's Joker. It's so funny. And again, dialogue so cheesy and just in an annoying, not charming way. It's too much. Overall, I think I give this a 3 out of 10, and that's being generous. Hey, editing me here. Looking over the footage and stuff, I actually changed my mind, and I'd change it to a 2 out of 10. I didn't like it.